Do you know why you have the right to remain silent, or as some call it, plead the fifth? This is because if you're stopped by a cop or someone in law enforcement and they ask you anything, they can basically say anything they want at trial, and the jury is going to believe them over you. You could say, I never told the cop that, and the cop's going to say, that's not true, they did. And the jury is going to be like, well, we trust the police more. Thus, you're advised to say nothing. It could just be that the cop got their memory wrong, but the reality is the public trusts the police more than they trust you. And there's a problem here. Makes holding some of these cops accountable very difficult. But the reality is, when it comes to the police, the public does not want them abolished, defunded, and they do typically trust them. And this is why it was so strange to me to see the Democrats supporting the protests and tacitly supporting the riots. Then later on, literally joining in the riots, like Mayor Ted Wheeler of Portland, a Democrat. Because when you show images of this stuff to people, they're going to recoil in horror. When they see law enforcement marching through the streets, they think these people are doing good. Now, of course, sentiment as it pertains to the police has gone down following the Black Lives Matter protests at the end of May. But since the riots have intensified, opposition has started growing. And it was very funny to me to see Democrats not understanding that regular people do not like riots. In fact, most of them don't even like protests, let alone do they engage in any of these behaviors. But the Democrats wanted to support this movement, and to a certain degree, it did make sense. In the long run, it's hurt them. What I see from Democrats, for the most part, the politicians, mind you, they are people waiting downstream and watching what the culture does. Trump is actually running against the media, though many Democrats are, look, the media, as far as I'm concerned, they overlap with the Democrats. Many in media are actively trying to help Democrats get elected, and Democrats just take their cues from the media. The problem is journalists, editors, whatever, they often ignore stories that they think would hurt them and help Trump. Because of this, regular people who have been witnessing the riots, the ongoing protests, the damage, the destruction, the injuries are getting angry, scared, and now voicing their support for Donald Trump, or at least their opposition to Black Lives Matter. And finally, those in media realized, hey, wait a minute, regular people don't like this stuff. Maybe we should call it out. But what do? If we call out the riots, then people are going to be like, maybe Trump is right about law and order. I got it. Let's claim Donald Trump himself is encouraging and making the riots happen. I kid you not. This is where it has come. No, the reality is the rioting has been backfiring miserably on Democrats because they're late to the party, because they pay too much attention to their sycophants in media who are trying to fan the flames of the Democratic Party and ignore what's really happening. And thus, the Democrats will suffer for it. Mayor Ted Wheeler will march with them. We will see city councilwomen in Seattle march with the rioters to the homes of politicians, no less. We will see Mayor Bill de Blasio support the riots, saying, well, they have their free speech, and it's a historic moment. Meanwhile, businesses are being destroyed and people are struggling and they are begging for help. And unfortunately, there is only one person offering it up. And it's Donald Trump. And guess what? The media still lies. Trump isn't even really offering to send federal agents to help to help the people. He's saying if local law enforcement wants to do their job, they can reach out and he will assist them. Other than that, he's just protecting federal buildings. Which brings me to the first story as we go into the shifting narrative. You see, the media has decided to change the game. It is in fact Donald Trump's fault. All of this is happening because he secretly wanted it, says one anonymous source. I kid you not. This is the name of the game. They finally realized they were losing it and now they're panicking. You see, the other day I said, and I was right, that Donald Trump was winning the propaganda war. And now I'm proud to say because I'm just going to say I was right. And because they're losing the propaganda war, they're flipping the narrative and trying to claim Trump is making it worse. Or at the very least, you get people like Nadler saying Antifa is a myth. That's right. Because the media told him it was. You see how late to the party he is? I'm sorry, Mr. Nadler, because the media has flipped the narrative. You got MSNBC, the Washington Post saying, actually, it is pretty violent, but it's Trump's fault. Uh-oh, but Jerry just said Antifa doesn't exist. Okay, they're different things, mind you. Antifa could not exist and there could be violence, but you get the point. Let's read the news and see what's going on and how finally we are seeing a crack in the narrative. The desperation is real. Before we get started, however, Head over to timcast.com/donate if you'd like to support my work. There are many ways you can give, but the best thing you can do is actually just subscribe. Normally I say share the video. It really does help as well, but I noticed when I check my analytics, half the people who watch my videos aren't even subscribed. Sounds kind of crazy, right? So seriously, please consider subscribing to make sure you do get access to my videos when they go up every day at 4 p.m. Hit the like button, hit the notification bell. Let's read this first story. And the reason I'm highlighting this story from Fleca is that it shows the Democrats are downstream from the media, that they have no idea what's really going on. And that's why they are so late to this party. Rep. Jerry Nadler calls violence from Antifa in Portland a myth. Fleca says, I ran into Jerry Nadler in D.C. and asked him to disavow the Antifa violence rioting in Portland. His response, that's a myth. 2.2 million views. Really excellent work from Fleca. If you're not familiar, he is a personality, YouTuber, commentator, and he does a really good job of being calm and reasonable when he asks people questions. In this instance, he very politely and calmly asked Democrat Nadler about Antifa. And what did we hear? It's a myth. It's a myth. Okay, well, it's pretty bad for Nadler because now I bring you to this story from the Washington Post. Violent protest clashes turned Portland into a right-wing boogeyman. Here's how it happened. Now, I don't care to read too much into this. The point they're trying to make is that there's been violent clashes in Portland. You see, they were slowly starting to recognize they could not keep lying. But then the dam broke, and it broke relatively recently. Take a look at this from ABC News. I love it. Protesters in California set fire to a courthouse, damaged a police station, and assaulted officers after a peaceful demonstration intensified. Peaceful demonstration intensified. Amazing work. Amazing. You see, ABC was reticent to say, ooh, are we going to use the riot word? They call what's going on the George Floyd protests. I disagree. I think the riots have clearly overshadowed everything. These are the George Floyd riots, and I mean no disrespect. That's just what the left has turned it into. Now take a look at this. This is where it gets fun. Joe Scarborough, responding to the story from ABC News, says, much of what is happening in Seattle, Portland, and other West Coast cities is not peaceful. Trump's dangerous application of federal force has elicited the response he and Barr were hoping for. Further escalation of violence from protesters is what Donald Trump wants. Here's Lanny Davis. Violent protesters lighting fires using violence in Portland should wear real Donald Trump buttons. That is who they are helping. Progressives in Portland need to call them out, including the mayor. Retweet, please. Don't allow violent people help real Donald Trump. I actually agree. Call them out. Stop them if you want to stand up to them. But you can see now how someone like Lanny Davis, who is White House special counsel, co-founder of the Davis Goldberg and Galper firm, blah, 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 is now starting to recognize how the violence is making them look. Then we have Gary Kasparov. Now, he's just a chess guy, and this one was funny to me. He says, as is often the case with authoritarians, the stated goal is the opposite of the real goal. Trump wants war, not law and order. He wants chaos and fear up until Election Day. Those still committing violence and destruction in the streets are happy to help Trump. It's not an accident. They would be marginalized by Biden, while rage against Trump justifies every excess. Yes, my friends, you have finally seen it. They are literally claiming, check this out, Operation Diligent Valor. Trump showcased federal power in Portland, making a culture war campaign pitch. They are literally trying to claim now that the far leftists, the extremists who are showing up, some pretend to be medics, some pretend to be journalists, and then lobbing explosives at federal officers in a courthouse are doing it at the behest of Trump. You see, according to an anonymous source cited here by the Washington Post only a couple days ago, Trump wanted this war. They wanted to, how can we make it happen? And thankfully, Antifa stepped up and said, we got you, Trump. We're going to do whatever you want. Seriously? No way. The far left is doing what the far left has always done, even before Donald Trump. I've been covering this stuff for nearly a decade. I've experienced far left violence. They physically attacked me several times during Occupy Wall Street. Donald Trump wasn't secretly pulling the strings of the far left to make everybody demand law and order when I got physically attacked. No, Donald Trump is not the cause of these problems. He is a symptom of the greater culture war. People finally saying enough. We're tired of the PC. We want someone who's different, an outsider, to change things. They voted for Donald Trump. Now, he won by good margins in the Electoral College, but in some states by very thin margins. We'll see how things play out in November. But I think now people are starting to realize this is the doing of the Democrats who have ignored, supported, and even joined in the Black Lives Matter protests, which eventually became full-blown riots, and they still chose to ignore it all. Check this out. They say, as statues of Confederate generals, enslavers, and other icons tumbled from their pedestals amid protests last month, President Trump issued an executive order meant to break the cascade. It enlisted the Department of Homeland Security, created in the wake of September 11th, and to protect the country against external threats, to defend U.S. monuments, blah, blah. Listen, what they're trying to do, they're trying to conflate DHS as some kind of like anti-terror protective unit while ignoring the fact that the federal officers in Portland are Customs and Border Protection. We've always had Border Police. U.S. Marshals. We've always had U.S. Marshals. Okay, not always literally, but they've been around for a really, really long time. We also have Federal Protective Services, Federal Police, and we have ICE, which, again, CBP and ICE, basically the same thing. All of these jobs have existed before. The existence of the Department of Homeland Security is not some evil conspiracy. It's literally just making it unified these different divisions under one authority to make it easier to manage. Of course, they're still going to play up this narrative that Trump wanted this. Check it out. They say, the order signaled Trump's eagerness to mobilize federal power against a societal upheaval that has coursed through America since George Floyd's death. He sought to frame and create a culture war, right versus left, right versus wrong, and was taking a stand at the monuments that some view as historical homages and many views as symbols of oppression. Are you talking about Mount Rushmore, where Donald Trump literally took his stand? Or are you referring to his figurative stand in defending Thomas Jefferson and George Washington and Ulysses S. Grant, which he specifically named in his speech? You see how they frame this? But Trump's June 26 declaration came too late. The momentum of the protests was fading in many U.S. cities, and confrontation between federal authorities and civilians were becoming less frequent. Then Trump found Portland, according to administration and campaign officials. Oh, please. Still restive, the West Coast city, with a long tradition of protest as a subculture of anarchism, was staging peaceful mobilizations, as well as smaller nightly clashes with authorities. Militant black-clad demonstrators were directing their anger at a large federal courthouse downtown. Peacefully, I guess, right, Washington Post? No. They were lobbing explosives, cans of beans. I kid you not, they're literally throwing cans of beans at federal officers. I am not joking. The AP published the photos. There's a big basket with cans of beans. Yeah, they can hurt. They can be heavy. But they were starting fires. And just recently, they found loaded magazines, rifle magazines of some sort, and Molotov cocktail materials. According to Bellingcat, as I've cited over and over again, it wasn't until July 4th, the 39th day of rioting, when Antifa breached into the courthouse, that we finally saw a major federal response. So what? Trump was ignoring all of this? You see, what's wrong with this narrative is that Trump had looked weak for so long, and even to this day, he's not actually engaging the rioters. Oh, they'll tell you Trump is sending out all of these federal agents across the country. Yes, criminal investigative divisions, the FBI to assist in investigations, and only a few hundred. The FBI already exists in many locations. He's just bolstering investigative resources. You are not going to see these armed camo, feds marching through your streets unless your streets are literally around the federal courthouse. Because even the left acknowledges this is a small contained area in Portland, though many people are still fed up because it can stretch somewhere around 12 blocks. But they are doing it to defend the courthouse. In Seattle, federal law enforcement were deployed to defend federal property, and they did not come out as the far left was throwing explosives and injuring officers. But they want to make it seem that way, sinking in the polls over his handling of COVID. Trump seized a chance to appear as a field general in a wider American cultural conflict over racial justice, police misconduct, and the reexamination of American history and monuments. In Portland, he found a theater for his fight. So what they're really saying is that in Portland, violent extremists had been bombarding and attacking this federal courthouse. And Trump finally said, after 39 days, okay, now I'll do something. Sorry, no, Trump was looking weak. And he finally stepped up. Maybe his real plan was to let it fester so that people would see this and demand law and order. That's what I've talked about quite a bit. I've said it over and over again. And what do we get? At the same time as we see this narrative that Donald Trump is finally stepping up, but it's because he wants it. What does NBC publish? I can't look, man. I'm sorry. I think most of these organizations are just trying to get Democrats elected. Not every single one. There's some really great journalists. A journalist for the AP published a really, really amazing story showing what the police were going through, their injuries, and they really did embrace both sides of the conflict. It was excellent reporting. Take a look at this. NBC News says an increasing percentage of plans and attacks in the U.S. are linked to far-right activity, expert says. I don't care what an expert says. What does that expert have to do with breaking news of what's going on right now? And why are you going to talk to far-right experts when the far left has been besieging federal property for 2 months? In the article, they actually show an image of peaceful, right-wing, pro-Second Amendment activists. I kid you not. There was no violence. They stood there, they sang, whatever, they chanted, and they left. Peaceful. Literally. That's what they show. That's the real threat, they say. Is what I tweeted. Incredible. Showing photos of peaceful right-wing pro-2A protesters while we are in 60 plus days of violent rioting from the far left. Around 30 people have died in the George Floyd riots so far, but this is the news we get from NBC. Bravo. Really, really great job. I'm going to start getting really angry in a moment as I bring you to the next portion of this segment. The destruction of small business and the tacit support and even willful support from Democrats. The regular people having their lives destroyed. But first, let me show you reality. Civ IQ, 133,000 responses. Do you support or oppose Black Lives Matter? And as we can see, since the riot started, opposition has been going up. I'm sure Trump knows it. And maybe that's why after 39 days, around July 4th, when opposition was already at 34%, he said, okay, let's finally send in these feds to actually do something about it. And since then, opposition has only increased by 2 points. No, I'm sorry. Trump actually wasn't doing anything. He wasn't. So you can claim he wanted a theater for his fight. He wasn't doing it. People were already upset with Black Lives Matter. Trump didn't need to send these people out to earn support. He's doing it to protect his buildings. And yes, I'm sure he's saying, well, you know what? At least I'll do something about it. But guess what? Many people have said, high-profile conservatives, let the cities rot. In Seattle, where they tied the hands of the police. In New York, where they defunded police. In Minneapolis, where they disbanded the police. And in Atlanta, where an officer defending himself from someone about to fire a weapon at him, a taser, he fired in self-defense, is now facing felony murder charges. In the face of all of this, many people have said, let the cities fester. These people voted for it. Let them. Why should Trump intervene? And guess what? Trump has not intervened. I kid you not. He hasn't. Now, I've praised the Garden of Heroes thing he announced and that he's going to be sending out federal law enforcement to protect federal property, but Trump is not intervening in local law. And you can argue he should. They're trying to make you think that he wants to, but he's not even doing it. So say whatever you want. The reality is, all of this, the destruction, it's now in the Democrats. I know. I'm going to show you, though. Of course, you're going to say, many of you will say Tim is biased. He just doesn't like the Democrats. Listen, I've never been a fan of the Republicans. I think many of them are ineffectual and lazy do-nothings. There's only a small handful, I think, do actually do a good job. But the reality is the Democrats are all the same. There's a few progressives I can respect for standing up to the establishment, but I think they got crazy ideas and they support this stuff. So I'll tell you what, I don't know what to tell you, man. What are they waiting for? Owners of riot-damaged businesses lament aid delays. They're still struggling to rebuild and share their frustrations over the failure to pass legislation that would have put much-needed cash in their hands. Well, you can thank the Democrats for that one. In Oregon, downtown Portland businesses derailed by pandemic say protests present new challenge. That's right. As many people will say, it's not a big deal what's happening in Portland because it's only affecting a small 12-block radius. The whole city is fine. So what about the people trapped here? What about the businesses that work here? What about their lives? Do their lives not matter? Their lives do matter. And people don't want to go downtown anymore because of the constant violence and the protests and the riots. And they're telling us this. The Oregonian Live is no right-wing publication. In fact, it leans to the left. But business owners are saying, this is the challenge we're faced with. Over at the New York Times, the virus turns Midtown into a ghost town, causing an economic crisis. 7,500 workers are missing from famous buildings. A food cart sells 10 hot dogs a day. The virus's effect on one block could be an omen for the city's future. Now, I know. This is COVID related. I know. But I still want to highlight the economic devastation in cities like New York under Democratic leadership. But feel free to ignore this for the greater point. There's a reason why I didn't save this for last. It's because I want to show you a more important story. Seattle. Seattle business owners feel abandoned by the city they once loved. There's a lawsuit against the city because they were literally abandoned, because the police weren't there to help them, because the Chaz existed. And because many businesses eventually, some were claiming they were getting, shaken down by protesters. Others argued it never happened. Well, they're suing now. These people, because the mayor said it was going to be a summer of love, because Mayor Ted Wheeler in Portland joined in as they were rioting. Guess what? Ted Wheeler joined in. They were lobbing explosives at the building. As soon as he leaves, within half an hour, he's the police commissioner, mind you, the police declared it a riot. That means he was there speaking in support of the demands of rioters attacking a building. What do you think these people are saying to themselves right now as they witness all of this? Well, I'll make it one step. I'll level it up. Here you go. Protesters march to Seattle Mayor Durkin's house as chop scene continues. Seattle City Council member Kshama Sawant joined a large group of protesters, and they marched to this house in Seattle. You literally have a Democratic politician on the city council joining in. Well, to be fair, maybe she's not a Democrat, but she's certainly a leftist politician joining in. So I say that because sometimes they're unaffiliated, whatever. The point is, when the politicians are joining in, do you think they'll get reelected? I have to imagine the answer is no. Or how about when she says, Seattle council member rips brutality of American capitalism for endangering peaceful protesters? They'll say it 50 billion times. Peaceful, 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 peaceful. That is just absolutely not true. They're not peaceful. Some of them have been. That's fine. And I've had people say to me, Tim, why won't you talk about the peaceful protesters? Because I have, first of all. And why don't I dedicate a whole segment to saying there's only peaceful protesters? Because the peaceful protesters are linking arms and protecting the extremists. Thus, they become accomplices to violent riots. Now, I've mentioned this before. Many of the peaceful protesters leave when the violence starts. Why won't they stand up and stop any of these people? Why won't they do? We've seen the video before where the Antifa guy's banging on the sidewalk, pulling up bricks, and they grab the dude and hand him over to police. What happened to that? Now the wall of moms and vets are linking arms and protecting them. The mayor is coming out and protecting them. I'm sorry. I don't care to call them peaceful protesters. And to these critics, I say, I have routinely praised when the Portlanders went out and laid down in the street with their hands behind their backs. That was a peaceful protest. I have defended the right to civil disobedience, which included the graffiti. And of those who are splashing paint on Black Lives Matter murals, civil disobedience, I think, is the appropriate action. It's where the line is. You get in trouble, you get arrested, but nobody gets hurt, right? So you get your point across and you pay for you take responsibility. But now these politicians have joined in. Let me show you this. This one strikes close to me, New Jersey. Governor Phil Murphy joins in Black Lives Matter protests in New Jersey. June 7th, around the height of the violent rioting and looting. And what were they doing? In defiance of their own lockdown orders, they had joined in. How could they be so late to the party? I just don't understand. And now people are just suffering. Blocked the bridge, and an old white couple refused to turn around like everybody else, so we'll keep them company. And this is an image of people standing in front of a vehicle, blocking some elderly people from trying to move. Here's one. Black Lives Matter mob attacks white woman's car in D.C. are now attempting to dox her. That's right. They were blocking a street, and this woman decided to drive through a gas station to go around them, so they ran up and jumped on her car because the intention is to suppress you, to withhold your right to movement, and to oppress you. That's what they want. They want you to feel pain. So what do you think happens after all of this? Here's a story from Reuters. On Chicago's South Side, some violence-weary residents open to federal investigators. Oh, investigators, says Reuters, you see. When the story becomes the people of Chicago are begging Trump for help, they no longer say Trump's secret police, not to drag Reuters. Reuters tends to do a good job. But you don't hear the narrative from the larger mainstream leftist publications about Trump's secret police when it's locals in Chicago saying we welcome the federal investigators to help us deal with these problems. I am a former Chicagoan. I grew up there, as most of you know, and I personally would love to see just a blanket of federal law enforcement. I would not be opposed to the National Guard being deployed in some areas. And I kid you not. I would say I would not be opposed. I'd question a deployment as such. But based on the things I've seen growing up, these things should not be normal. The existence of law enforcement is not suppressing or oppressing anybody. They're allowed to exist and walk around and do their thing. The oppression of your rights is when they unlawfully detain you, arrest you. Showing up to a riot and getting arrested is not oppression. Law enforcement defending a courthouse is not oppression. And for too long, the Democrats have been openly supporting all of this, and opposition is skyrocketing. The backfire has already happened, and it's only getting worse. And now they are trying to flip the narrative and claim, oh, this is Trump doing it on purpose. That's the best they have to offer because they realized, oops, people actually don't like riots. How about that? I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at youtube.com/TimCastNews at 6 p.m., and I will see you all then.